Let's talk about the Jesus of our making. A king stands before a governor. The greater has been given into the hands of the lesser. The life and the future of the greater has been given into the hands of the lesser. The life and fate of Jesus have been rolled like a cheap pair of dice down the crap table of religious and political corruption, and have come to land in the vacillating, trembling hands of Pontius Pilate, the prefect of Judea. Pilate is trying to just avoid all responsibility. So he has sent Jesus to Herod, and Herod was like, and sent him right back. He wants to free an innocent man, but he doesn't want to fall foul of the howling crowds and the people that he governs. It's a terrible thing when the good that you want to do is defined or is hampered or is held in check by the evil that surrounds you. It's a night of questions, and two unavoidable questions present themselves in this narrative. They present themselves then, and they present themselves now to us. The first question is a question of reality. The second question is a question of surrender. What is truth? The Roman view of the world was Greek. The view of the Western world is still Greek. But in the Greek world, reality, truth, was to be found in the observable world around you and in nature, in the natural order. What was true was what could be proven and what could be observed. The divine had no place in the realms of human beings, in the life of the mortal. The pantheon or the temple of the gods was just the realm of the spirit, and the spirit was spirit, and it could never become mortal. And mortals were mortals and flesh, and we could never become spirits, so they were kept apart. But in the Roman world, the gods were just like us. They were selfish like us. They had terrible natures like us. They were just like us, but immortal. So the gods were never the source of truth. They were never looked to for truth. They were to be appeased. They were to be worshipped, but they were never to be the source of truth in anyone's life. The search for truth, or the good, as Plato called it, would always have to be found in the observable natural world around us. But the truth, the good, was always going to be held hostage by the subjective and objective whims of what it means to be human, to what it means to be selfish, what it means to be us. Then there was truth in the Hebraic world. Truth in the Hebraic world always found its source outside of human reality. All life came from God. So therefore, in the Hebraic world, all truth came from God. Human existence was seen as coming literally from the hand of God. God to dirt, dirt to rib, rib the intimacy of the divine touch, the intimacy of the divine breath. We literally came from God, that divine human relationship. The original face-to-face relationship with man meant that God was seen, and in seeing him, truth was established. But this face-to-face relationship with God has become ruptured by sin. And so it is once again through the actions of God that we understand what truth is. God acts, we believe, we trust, we follow. And that defines truth for the Hebrew people, the observable, moving and acting of God in human reality. Life, law, love are all defined by the divine acting of God in human reality. The Hebrews knew this. They knew this. The promise of a coming king and his kingdom wasn't defined by observable human facts. They were defined by observable divine acts. The constant involvement of the divine in the human story defined truth for them. So it was always going to be a kingdom of the heart, a kingdom ruled by a king not of this world, and yet so very much of this world. I mean, how else? How else? How else is God going to reestablish that intimacy with human beings again, except he puts on human flesh, puts on human clothes, and comes into the human story and exists with us once again outside of Eden. He comes and exists with us once again outside of Eden and establishes that kingdom there with us, and that kingdom here with us, and that kingdom here with us. But this isn't the reality in the Hebrew mind in the day of Jesus. In the time of Jesus, that has shifted. It's moved away from a kingdom that God rules to a kingdom firmly in the hands of the religious order and the political order. It's a kingdom of entitlements. It's a kingdom of selfish interests and failing human desires. And then all of a sudden, Pilate realizes that Jesus isn't standing before him. All of a sudden, he feels like, I'm actually standing before this king. He's realizing that someone greater than all the pantheon of the Greek gods is standing before him in contradiction to the idea of Greek truth. That somehow one greater even than Caesar is standing before him. He already knows because his wife has sent words that the gods have spoken to her in a dream that you are to leave well alone when it comes to this man. What is truth? Well, by the time Pilate asked that question, it's as much a plea of desperation as it is a question of inquiry. He knew who stood before him. He didn't understand all the biblical and the prophetic implications of where he found himself in the prophetic stream of time. He just knew that all time and all truth and all reality seemed to be centered right where this man was standing. But they were intent on killing this truth and replacing it with a truth of their own making. You know, the truth is, when you don't surrender to the truth you know, all you have is just the lie you're trying to replace it with. And so he asks the second question. Who do you want me to release to you? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus whom his disciples call Messiah? You see, Barabbas is a kingdom builder too. He believed like a Jew, but he lived and acted like a Roman. There was no place in his world for a kingdom of the heart, only a kingdom in which his enemies were trodden under his feet. He didn't see the power of God as being able to make his enemy his friend. He saw no power in loving his enemy. Barabbas means son of the Father. Yeshua means son of the Father. Christ means anointed under God, or anointed ruler of God. How tragically ironic that the Jews made friends of their enemies in order to kill their king. And yet, Pilate asked them and everyone in search of truth the same question. Which truth do you want to surrender to? The human truth of Barabbas or the truth of Jesus that is called the Christ? Because in Jesus, all that was lost in knowing God, all that was lost in being able to observe what God was like and how God loved us and how God related to us and how God saw us and how God literally felt about us. All the truth that was lost in Jesus Christ now becomes a reality. He is observable truth. He is knowable truth. He is touchable truth. He is huggable truth. He is lovable truth. And once again, we understand that God is truly with us. You know how the story ends. It's Friday. That's what this whole weekend is about. You know how the story ends. Pilate rejects the truth he is seeking. Israel chooses the Jesus of their own making in Barabbas, along with choosing Caesar. Together, they murder Jesus, and they do it in order, they perceive, to save themselves. And that was Friday. That was the human observable truth of Friday. That was the human observable truth in the natural world of Friday. But hey, here comes Sunday. Here comes Sunday morning. And on Sunday morning, divine truth in the human reality blows up everything we know about what it means to be a believer, about what it means to be a follower, about what it means to understand truth, about what it means to understand Jesus. And on Sunday, divine truth re-enters into the human reality, and nothing has ever been the same again. What is truth? Truth is realizing that we cannot serve a Jesus of our own making. We cannot serve a king of our own devising. This king and his kingdom is a surrendered into reality. What is truth? Truth is God has never nor will never leave us helpless and hopeless to fend for our own selves. What is truth? Only a surrendered heart will make it and last and grow in the kingdom of God. And a surrendered heart is a heart that stops fighting God, where God is trying to build his kingdom inside of us. What is truth? No. Who is truth? His name is Jesus Christ.